What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys my review for Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 90. Good bit to talk about here for this one, actually. So this is the chapter that wrapped up this whole Dragon Ball Super superhero prequel arc, and I found that to be pretty interesting because I thought it would go on for a little bit longer, but I'm not complaining that they decided to wrap it up in 3 chapters. I think that's pretty solid pacing, and the arc hasn't been everybody's cup of tea. Personally, I have enjoyed it overall, but I know that there definitely can be better content that they put in the manga, so that's why I'm not too mad that they ended it right now. I'm glad that they gave Goten and Trunks 3 chapters worth of shine to, kind of be a prelude into the superhero arc that we're going to get next. And it was also a cool introduction to Dr. Hedo, and I'm also glad they showed other characters around as well, such as Krillin and Bulma and Mai, throughout. So it was cool. But let's talk about what happened. So first off, awesome cover page. If you guys haven't seen, there is a similar manga cover that they just dropped. So it's pretty much Goku and Bardock on the manga cover, but over here for the cover page they got Goten and Trunks. So I thought that was pretty cool. The chapter pretty much kicks off with Krillin looking for the zombies from chapter 88 that got away. I think it was from Mount Butterfly. So he ends up finding them at a corner store where Mai also happens to be, and at first I was like, that's a little bit of a weird coincidence that she's there, but it makes more sense, especially with later when you find out that Mai is trying to take down Hedo and that she's been gathering this info on them. Then we cut over to Goten, and by the way, I want to say one thing I really like about this chapter is that this one felt a lot more focused on Goten. It wasn't a complete Goten chapter or anything like that, but the last 2 chapters, I felt like you got more of the vibe where Goten was pretty much the sidekick of Trunks, and that Trunks was more so the main character. At least that's how it felt to me, even though Goten got some moments. But this one I felt a little bit different about, which I thought was good because Goten deserves his own chapter as well. So yeah, Goten is flying on his Nimbus, and 40 minutes later he ends up landing on top of a building, which he, goes down the stairs of, and he ends up taking a bus so that he can take a bus route to the school and keep his long commute that he has a secret. On the bus, a girl named Flyer asks Goten if he can ask Trunks to ask her out to a dance. So a girl that has that's friends with Goten and has a crush on Trunks. Right then, Beta number 7 shows up saying he knows that Goten is Saiyaman. So apparently this has been a trend going on kind of off screen, where we've had these other betas attacking, and I guess it's always been Goten or Trunks. But Goten ends up making a quick escape, and a little later Saiyaman X2 shows up and takes care of him, and even his classmates find it weird that Saiyaman X2 shows up right after Goten escapes. So kind of suspicious there, but the classmates seem to be catching on a little bit. Mai ends up asking Trunks if he'll come to the dance party with her, and that's one big part of the chapter, the dance party that's going to be going on. And she notices at the same time that she's being spied on, and the spy is definitely for Trunks. So there are these little spy drones that are watching Trunks and Goten, kind of how those little spy drones were watching Goku back in the day to gather data on his power. So Dr. Hedo pauses the hunt for the disc since he's a big fan of Clean God, and he's advertised to be at this dance party. So later on, Trunks happily tells Goten that Mai invited her. And I know, back to this whole Trunks and Mai topic, if you read the full chapter, my opinion on it is that it really came off as Trunks is the one who's really more into her, and that Mai was kind of just doing some of these things more so as a way to end up leading towards the capture of Dr. Hedo. So I didn't mind it. I know some people are probably going to hate it more than others. Some people are going to love it. To me, I did not mind it in this chapter, and I think overall in these three chapters we got that had anything to do with Trunks and Mai, I don't think it was nearly as bad as some people make it out to be, especially since Mai didn't really reciprocate any, feelings back for him. Anyway, so after that, Mai actually pulls Goten to the side, and she now knows that Dr. Hedo plans what his plans are, and she plans on capturing him at the party by luring him with Clean God. So there's your reasoning for why she invited Trunks to the dance. And I really like that Goten is in the loop of this, because it feels like the chapter has that more focus on him, which I really do appreciate. And Goten finds out that she only invited Trunks as a cover for that being her real objective, and she ends up telling Goten to keep the Hedo stuff a secret from Trunks. So then we cut over to the dance party where Mai pulls up in an armor kind of suit, and Trunks pulls up in regular suit, and Goten actually ends up showing up with the date himself with the girl that wanted to go out with Trunks, Flyer. Trunks goes up close to get a view of Clean God. Meanwhile, Mai and Goten chat a bit about Hedo possibly appearing, and it seems like Mai has already caught on to that pretty quick. So it turns out that Trunks was actually talking to Dr. Hedo for a good page or two about Clean God, them just, fanboying over Clean God. And right then, Mai kind of screams out of nowhere, and she says, Trunks, move away from him, and Mai is about to shoot, but right when that happens, Beta number 1 from last chapter, shows up and grabs the gun. But on the next page, Krillin arrives with the police thanks to a tip from Mai, so that Krillin could arrest Dr. Hedo. Hedo ends up using a smoke launcher to escape. Krillin ends up going after him, and Mai tells Trunks to do the same since he's Saiyaman X1. Trunks is surprised that she knows, but he ends up telling Mai that he'll end up being the coolest superhero in the world, and asks if he can take her out for real if he catches Dr. Hedo. Mai really, really wants Dr. Hedo to be caught, so she says that they can go on as many dates as he wants as long as he catches her. Goten also ends up going with Trunks. So, something else is that Mai figured it out, of course, that it was him under the Saiyaman X1 costume, because she had that kind of feeling she got with future Trunks, where she had a crush on him when she was, a couple years back when they had the future Trunks arc in the timeline. Pretty much what happens is that she realizes obviously future Trunks can't be back in the time for something like that, and she realizes it has to be present Trunks. So after that, we have Beta actually end up escaping with the disc for Dr. Hedo. So they kind of got what they wanted, that disc that Trunks had for a while. So now we're reaching more towards the end of the chapter, and what happens is that Goten and Trunks catch up with Krillin, and they talk about Dr. Hedo a little bit while flying on the way there. So Krillin seems aware that Dr. Hedo is Dr. Jiro's grandson, and he's also creating androids of his own. And then Krillin also has an idea that the Red Ribbon Army is going through a revival phase and are targeting him. So big stuff right there for Krillin to know. And I know some people are going to think some of these things don't line up with what happened in the movie, but that's okay. I don't really see Krillin knowing all of this info as much of a problem, because they're going to do their own version of the superhero arc in the manga anyway, starting next month. And then aside from that, I think down the line, at least I believe that whenever the super anime returns, that they're going to readapt this anyway, kind of how they did Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F. So at the end of the day, I don't think these changes are necessarily as bad as some of these Twitter folk might make it sound like. So if you see those, don't take it too seriously. I'm sure they'll handle it fine, and we'll find out how they handle it in the upcoming months. But yeah, moving on. Krillin also tells them pretty much as he's revealing this info to them to not tell their moms about any of this, which I think is a good choice because Bulma and Chi-Chi probably would be tripping a little bit about it, so I'm not surprised. Uh, so then, after, the three of them end up catching up to Dr. Hedo, he unleashes his new most powerful weapon, which is a dino droid called Dino Droid number 1. So we have a dinosaur android pretty much. And he's kind of going on a rampage. He's not really too smart, but he is supposed to be powerful. And Goten and Trunks pretty much end up defeating him by going Super Saiyan, which I thought was cool. Another thing, by the way, that is going to be different, I'm sure, in the superhero arc, that we're going to get to see these two possibly go Super Saiyan. Some people were wondering why they didn't do that in the movie, but this version should be different. And Krillin played a pretty big role too in the fight, which I also appreciated. So all three of them got some shine, and it was just a little cool fight they did. And pretty much to wrap up the chapter, Dr. Hedo is arrested by Krillin. His lab ends up getting destroyed by this Dino Droid fight, and his disc is ultimately missing. But that doesn't affect him because he said he's memorized all of it now. So he just didn't want it getting into the wrong hands. But he knows his data. And pretty much how the chapter ends is that Dr. Hedo's androids have returned to their respective homes, and he brought back some people from the dead, so technically his sentence got reduced a little bit because of that. Otherwise, it would have been a lot more. So we got kind of zombies living with their parents, people that might have died a little too early go back and live with their parents, so that's cool. And his sentence right now is sitting at 3 months of jail time. And another big thing, he also created Hachimaru, if you remember that from the movie. We're nearing that content soon now, especially if he has Hachimaru made. But all in all, I really enjoyed the chapter. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Probably my favorite one of this 3-chapter arc. And I think overall the arc is somewhere in that realm of a 7.5, maybe pushing to an 8 for me, because I like chill stuff like this from time to time. And it was cool for these two characters, Goten and Trunks. And, it was just a nice breath of fresh air, and I really enjoyed what they did for the most part, so I can't complain, and I hope the anime does it really well whenever we get to it, whenever the super anime decides to come back. But that's my thoughts on the chapter. Let me know what yours are in the comments below. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.